Let's begin.
Sure.
Why MicroMax? Why MicroMax decide to launch own brand here in Russia now?
Okay. See, we we firmly believe that the smartphone market is evolving in most of the countries, and more so in Russia. Because if you look at the base, and when you talk to the service providers here, the smartphone penetration on the base is very low, still in early 20s. Though the sale has gone to about 44%, we still feel there is enough and more scope to work here. And we in India have done, I may sound immodest, but I think we have done some great job as far as smartphones are concerned. So we feel we can obviously contribute to this market and gain ourselves. That's number one. So smartphone penetration is definitely one. And then look at it from the operator point of view. Today everyone is looking for data. Okay, so data revenue is very, very important for the operators. We work very closely with operators in India, and we have been able to contribute to their data growth. Okay, today operators come and want to work with us, which is good for us. Similarly, we feel when we enter into the Russian market, that is a value add which we can give to the operators. That's point number two. Number three, we, after our experiments in countries surrounding India, which is Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Nepal, Singapore, we feel that we can obviously compete with the top-notch brands and can become a world player in times to come. So Russia is our first step there. Entering into Russia will also open doors to the CIS countries and then Europe. So that's the plan.
In the past 2 years ago, you're trying to launch brand MicroMax in Africa, in Latin America, but you closed the operation in these countries.
Yeah.
Why?
It was a very strategic decision. Now look at the market scenario 2 years back. It was more than 2 years back that we went to Latin America and Brazil and all. That point of time, the market was all feature phone. Okay. Now every country has its own regulations. Every country has its own customization. Fortunately for us in Android and with the touch screen coming in, you don't need customization because you don't have to change the keypad. The languages are already supported on the Android platform, so it becomes much easier. At that point of time, in a feature phone, you had to change the keypads. You had to put the languages. It was becoming cumbersome, and which is why we decided this is not maybe the right time for us to get into that market. And feature phone, the margins were low. And obviously, when you get into a new country, you have to spend on the brand building as well. Now, Android platform has given us the flexibility to again venture into these markets because customization is not required. You don't have to change the keypads. You don't have to do anything. And the languages are already supported. So things have become much easier. Earlier, we did try, but we backed out because of strategic reasons.
As far as I know, in India, you earn a lot of money from not only from phones, but from software from own application app store. Do you planning to launch the same app store here in Russia, or it will be miss some application because they developed in India?
No, so we are obviously our application team has already started working on the Russian market. Yes, as you rightly mentioned, the app store in India is a very integral part of our revenue growth. We see that business going forward because today, where is the differentiation? Hardware you can't differentiate much. Android is Android for everyone. So where can you differentiate? A, by your app store, by other applications. So obviously we would like to get into that as soon as possible.
If we are talking about Russian market, a lot of companies presented here like Fly, number 3 on Russian market right now in terms of volume. What do you think, how you will be competitive against Fly and big brands like Xplay, High Screen and others, because they take the same products from Chinese plants, the same kind of customization, the same price at the end of the day. So what will be the difference? Why people have to choose MicroMax over these brands?
Sure. See, we respect all competition. So we do respect what all Fly has done here or other brands have done in Russia. We respect them. Now, before I answer your question directly, let me give you a brief glimpse on what happened in Bangladesh and Sri Lanka. And I would specifically about Bangladesh. Bangladesh is a market which is totally dominated by local players. There are about 12 local players, and if you look at the top 10, all these slots are occupied with the local players. So when we were entering that market, people asked us, what will you do? I mean, how can you change? Because these guys already have 54% market share, some had 15% market share and all. So what did we do there? We changed the game. Because, you know, at some point of time, people become complacent and they take customers for granted. Okay. And we changed the game in terms of the retail visibility, in terms of product, in terms of placement, in terms of the channel policies. We changed the complete thing. And today, in just about 3 quarters, we are at about 10% market share. Now, coming specifically to Russia, again I repeat, I mean, we respect competition, but we do see there are a lot of product and price gaps. Okay, and we will try to obviously fill those gaps. So there's an opportunity in the market, and with smartphones growing and some of the leading, erstwhile leaders, fumbling as far as smartphones are concerned, we see that opportunity here, and which is where we will compete. Will we be able to compete on price or other thing? Yes, I think what we believe very clearly is a value for money, and that has been our core competence. And number 2, the brand. Fortunately, and we were pleasantly surprised when we came here, the brand MicroMax is pretty well recognized here. So we already have that advantage, and hopefully we will be able to leverage it further. And third is the kind of volumes which we do in India. I mean, none of these players do those kind of volumes anywhere. We do close to 2.5 million devices a month. So obviously we will be able to leverage that volume against price and get, give a better value for money to the customer in Russia.
As far as I understand, in India, on Indian market, you have around 24% market share of smartphones. Yeah. And per quarter it's around 10.5 million or 11 million units, the whole market of smartphones. Yeah. So the main sales, it's feature phones. It's around 67% of market share. In second quarter, it was a lot of articles in Forbes India about MicroMax, about successful story, etc., etc. And they mentioned that you take around the same digit, 24%, according to IDC. And as far as I understand, in third quarter and fourth quarter, Samsung growing on Indian market, and your market share was the same around quarter. Why it happens? Why Samsung with not cheap, not very overpriced product growing, and MicroMax with different kind of products which you launch in last 6 months, not growing on this market, on home market? Okay,
now a difficult question to answer, but here is my point of view, and everyone has his point of view. See what was happening while we were growing. As I mentioned, in my previous answer, people tend to become complacent, and that is where we were able to take advantage of what the leading market players were doing. We were able to take our footprint wider across India, and we were able to gain the market share. In the last 1.5 quarters, it's not that we have become stagnant, but what has definitely happened is that as a company, our ratio of the smartphone has increased vis-a-vis the number of feature phones which we are doing. Okay, so in terms of revenue, we have grown. Okay, okay. Market share, yes, we did not, because who's driving the market share today? It's basically the feature phone.
Yes.
And when we move towards the smartphone, obviously we were stagnant as far as the market share is concerned, but in revenue terms we are growing. And you will soon see the change, in next 2 quarters, because we firmly believe that Indian market is now moving very quickly towards the smartphone, and they need a bridge, for people to move from a feature phone to smartphone. The Bold series, which we have recently launched in India, and a few new products, you will see a sea change in the next 2 quarters, definitely.
How are you trying to play here in Russia? Because a lot of Russian companies like Xplay, sub-brand of Sveznoy retail chain, they take the same models like MicroMax for Indian market from Chinese plants. Because in the past, last year I think, G1, they launch own brand in India, and you can sell everything from this brand. You're not you're not buying anytime. So how you will play here? Because I'm talking with supplier and ask, what do you think about MicroMax? And they say, we don't care, because of course we care, but we don't care about our product lines, because we have exclusive rights for Russia and these countries, so they couldn't launch the same model here. It will be maybe different design, different price tag, but not the same model. What do you think about that?
Absolutely. So the way the things were working, and that's what we are made to believe. We have our own design house. We design our own products. As long as we were concentrating only in India, we were open to people taking our designs and launching in other countries. We're absolutely. I mean, we did not interfere. We did not stop. We did not do anything about it. But as we started moving into other areas, could be Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, we have started putting all those curbs on our manufacturers. If a design is restricted to if the design is being done by us, it needs to be restricted only to MicroMax. In August, when we came here, and in the subsequent visits to Russia, one thing which we realized, and I think it's a very you should know about this case. So when we were in the market, we picked up some of the handsets. Obviously, we wanted to pick up some competition handsets. And one of the handsets, you open the battery and you read MicroMax. So basically, what was happening is everything was being done by us, and people were copying and placing them in other markets. Now that we are ourselves entering this, we will ensure that our designs do not go, because that is where our core proposition is. That is where we bring value to the customer. So that's what we will definitely try to do. Number two, again, going back to the kind of volumes which we do, we have very strategic partnerships with all our partners, whether it is Google, whether it's the chip manufacturers, and we do enjoy a comfort feeling with them. There are a lot of things, like for example, laptop which you have seen. I mean, anyone could have done it, but we are the first people to get it. So there will be a lot of first which we will be bringing with MicroMax to Russia, and I think that will be able. That's how we'll be able to make a break in this market.
So when you choose VVP Group as the biggest distribution company here, wholesaler company, but in retail they are not so strong. Why you choose partnership here? Because let me describe. If we're talking about Fly, if we're talking about Display or any other big brands, they optimize taxes on custom in any way, and the margin for the partners, it's really big, because if we're talking about Euroset and Fly, definitely it's around 30, even 35% margin for Euroset, and a very small margin for Fly. So how could you be competitive here if all operation wide, I mean no optimization on custom for MicroMax products, because VVP couldn't achieve that?
Okay, see, we firmly believe, it's again the distribution model which you take. I mean, we could have, the way others are operating, we could have decided to come into the Russian market with the same model, which is, we open our own office, we have our own manpower, we do our own billing, and save on that. So we did the analysis, okay, vis-a-vis a national distributor, and forget whom we tied up with, but on a broad way, when we did this analysis, the pros and cons of opening up the entire stuff here, and we are putting up a distributor, we found in the long term the distribution model will work. Now when Fly came, about maybe, I think they have been pretty old in Russia, the things were different. Okay, you did not have such evolved distribution system.
That's true.
Okay, so they had no choice but to, had they got the choice at that point of time, maybe they would have thought differently. So today we are very comfortable, with VVP. We see a lot of value coming from them, and as far as the margins are concerned, I mean, this is something which can always be worked out. When we are here to invest, we will definitely take some actions.
And what about the margin for independent retail chains in regions? When they talking with VVP, I think, or with headquarters of MicroMax here in Russia, what people think about this margin? It will be 20%, 30% for them to earn on MicroMax products, or less?
See, when we are a new entrant, we are a challenger, so we will have to play with what is there in the market. We can't dictate our own terms in today's scenario. So we will go with what market demands, okay, and we are flexible on that. So we'll take it on a case-to-case basis, but as I said, we'll be very, very flexible on this. I mean, today we are in no position to,
Yeah, that's true. So you will be playing on the same level as other big brands here? with the same margin maybe, but
that would be
products.
that would be the starting block. And obviously, we firmly believe that in next 6 months we will be able to do enough on brand building, so that we at least move up from the B brand, may not enter the A brand, but will be in between. So I think we'll be able to create a niche for us.
Like fly. So what about customer care? Because I hear, before our interview, I asked my Twitter followers about MicroMax brand. A lot of people following me from India, and they say that they think that customer care in India for MicroMax is not enough, because sometimes it's some issues. Who will be the partner for customer care here after sales, and how many percent of earnings or from margin you will spend on that?
Okay, now I think first is your observation on the Indian market. Let me be very honest with you. Yes, we did face some problems about 4 months back. Okay, 3-4 months back, and for a period of about 45 days to free, because there was one product which had a very generic failure, and unfortunately it sold well, and which is why people started complaining and all. We currently have more than 700 service centers in India. Okay, so it's the infrastructure is there. It's not that, but yes, maybe we could have reacted differently and handled the situation in a better. So you know how the customers behave. If something goes wrong with one thing, it obviously snowballs.
It's true.
Okay, so but we have learned a lesson. We have learned a very important lesson, and if you look at the kind of professionals who have come into the system now, and who are trying to put a complete policy, the complete infrastructure in place, I think we are there. So that's what's happening in India. Look at what we have been able to achieve in Bangladesh, Sri Lanka. Okay, our TATs there are very low. 88% of our calls are being covered in one day, 24 hours. So we have been able to create that infrastructure. We obviously normally work with service partners, and for the Russian market, we are already in touch with the leading chains, and will very soon announce that as well. So by the time our products hit, we would have close to about 23 to 30 service centers across. Long-term strategy would obviously be to have our own service infrastructure. Okay, maybe our own showrooms where people can walk in and get their customers things repaired. There's another innovative thing which we have done in India, which unfortunately, because of security thing and other stuff, we are not able to implement in the current scenario. Whenever a customer buys a handset and he puts a SIM, we get a message that this handset has been sold. Okay, we track the warranty and the service from that SMS. Okay, normally what the customer faces is when he goes for a repair, especially in India, he doesn't carry the invoice, he has nothing, no data with him. Okay. But on the basis of that activation SMS, we are able to track his complete history and give him a solution. We would like to do that, plus quite a few other things in India, in Russia, quite a few innovative things. And as we move along, maybe in a month or two, you will see the difference.
When we're talking about Android, a lot of customers want to receive updates for operating system, the newest version of Android. What about policy of MicroMax in this field? How fast you deliver new versions of Android, and for which handset? I mean that for flagship, it have to be very fast. Maybe for mid-tier, not so fast. For low end, never.
So we have an application, okay, which will help customers get an update as soon as the update is released. So, and as I told you, we work very, very closely with Google. So all those issues they will never face here.
So for all models, it will be the same policy, so you get updates as fast as
exactly. Because Android is an Android. Yes, it could be entry level, it could be mid range, it could be high range, but we would like to follow that policy.
So right now, for models which already launched in India, it was, I think, Android 4.1, 4.2. Which is the latest version of Android you deliver in India?
India is, I think, 4.2.
4.2.
Yeah.
So it's the latest one.
Yeah.
If we're talking about Russian market in terms of market share for this year or sales volume, what are your expectation?
Well, we are an aggressive company as well as a conservative company. Conservative in terms of, I mean, a lot of people keep telling us, why don't you launch, Middle East? Why don't you come to US? we take one step at a time, okay, and we would like to obviously focus on Russia before taking up more responsibilities, okay. And so that's where the conservation, our nature of being conservative comes in. Aggression comes in that we, don't get bogged by the figures. We go and do our best, and on a very aggressive basis, and then we see where we are moving. Now, as far as Russia is concerned, we are very hopeful that in the first year, and that's the target which we are taking. We should be in the top four. Top four. So that's the aim which we are working towards. Will we reach there? I do not know. Will we not reach there? I do not know. But will we make an effort to do that? Definitely. So that's what we are.
So it means that you have to be here bigger than Nokia, bigger than some other brands like Sony, because they're not even in top 5. Right.
Exactly. So, which is why I say, so that's the aggression, and Rahul, who is our one of the co-founders, he is very clear in getting more innovative products to Russia, spending on brand building, and obviously creating a world-class service structure. And I think if we have these 3 or 4 pillars, which is innovative products, 60 degree of marketing, distribution, and after sales, I think we can make it.
Okay, you mentioned that you're very good at working with operator in India, with carriers. Any plan to launch some products in Russia with operators? Because operators here is very strong, MTS and Megaphone, especially in this field, and they launch a lot of tablets, a lot of smartphones in last 6, maybe 8 months. Even Megaphone takes 3rd position, because they launch Megaphone Login 1, 2 models. They're very cheap, they Chinese roots, and in any case they selling very well because it's low-end products.
Yeah, sure. We would, as you rightly mentioned, we work very closely with both the GSM and CDMA operators in India. And as you know, MTS is in India. Yeah. They are CDMA players, and we recently launched a product exclusively with MTS. And there's a TV commercial which is on. As far as Russia is concerned, yes, we would definitely be working with the operators. We have started discussions, and obviously as we move along, something will definitely fructify. And we would like to obviously be engaged with them, do something innovative so that we are able to add value to their data business. And with LT and all these technologies, already prevalent in Russia, we see a lot of scope working with the operators, and we will definitely do that.
Because no one from B brands, I mean even Fly, which in between A and B brands, they're not very successful with operators. They couldn't launch anything.
Yeah. I'm sure we will, because
except Alcatel.
Yeah. Brand. So I was with the operator business for 10 years. I was working with Airtel, and I was handling devices. Airtel. So I know what the operator need. And somehow we'll have managed the Indian market currently. I do not know how closely you are following it up, but we are doing a lot of work with the operators.
Yeah, in India. That's true.
And I'm sure we'll be able to do it here as well.
And I think that you see federal retail chain like Euroset, like Swissnova. What do you think about shelves, about products which selling right now here in Moscow or in Russia? I don't know. Do you visit any other? Yeah,
I've been to these markets, a number of times. This is, I think, my 7th or 8th visit to Moscow since August, and the federal retail plays a very, very important role here. And again, I'm sorry, I'm trying to draw a parallel between India and Russia. India, again, these chains have started playing a very important role, though they are concentrated more towards the southern part of India, and we work very closely with them. And the kind of what amazes me in Russia, when you go to these federal retails, the salespeople, the kind of knowledge they have, the kind of information they are able to give to the customer, and the way they are organized is amazing. So we would definitely like to work with them and maybe carry some best practices from here to India.
Yeah. What about trade marketing? Because here in Russia, it's very important to sales force. Do you plan any special things, or you will be playing at the same game like others?
Well, I don't want to divulge too much, but I did mention in Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, we have changed the game. And if you go to Bangladesh and Sri Lanka, okay, you will suddenly realize, oh, am I in India or am I in Bangladesh? Because the kind of retail visibility, the kind of work we have done in retail, I may sound immodest, but I think we have done a great deal of work there. And we will not hesitate to replicate it here.
What about advertisement? Because very few people know right now MicroMax
Yeah.
brand here. How you will establish this brand for mass market and how you show it?
Complete 360 degree. Now, unfortunately, from whatever little information we have about Russia, print is not a big medium here. It's digital and other stuff. And you will see our plans rolling out from the first week of next month. So we will obviously see, we are here for a long haul. Will we succeed immediately? I don't think so. Will we have to do a lot of hard work? Yes, we will have to slog and we'll have to. So we are ready to roll up our sleeves and work here. So no problems.
So what's the period of time do you take for be successful here, top 4? You mentioned that this year maybe, maybe not, but definitely.
So I think there's a huge opportunity here. The way the market is growing, another 4 or 5 years, there's enough and more scope for a lot of players, and obviously we are entering. We feel at the right time, because that's where the smartphones have started taking off, and next 2 years, 3 years will be very, very interesting here. And obviously we'll take time to establish ourselves as the leading guy. So maybe next 3 years we could be able to change the landscape here.
What about average selling price for smartphone from MicroMax right now? Is it higher than $150 in India or less?
Oh, it's much less.
It's less.
It's less.
So it's growing over the time right now, or it's...
See, I think smartphones are expanding both ways. Okay, now if you look at MicroMax history, we were close to about never more than $160, $170. But the kind of brand building which we have been able to do in India, okay, our price range has increased. So we have started attracting more of the high-end customers as well.
Yeah.
So now our product portfolio is moving on the other side as well. Look at the lower end, where we were obviously very strong, right from day one. With more and more people coming towards the smartphone, even the low-end phones, we are lowering the prices there as well. Okay, so we're expanding our portfolio both ways. Now, India, the internet penetration is very poor, and even the penetration of laptops and computers is also very low. So the first experience which a consumer has is on the handset, mobile handset. Yeah. Okay, and again, a large part of India is rural. People are ambitious. They want to obviously avail internet and enrich themselves. So those are the guys who are going in for the lower end of the mid-range Android phone, because that's their first screen where they are experiencing internet. So we are expanding it both the ways, and which is where our market share, I am sure, will start growing, and we see a lot of value there.
By the way, I subscribed to marketing list of MicroMax in India, and I saw a lot of good advertisement about new product, because it's really good. And the most inspiring thing that I get this email every 10 days or every 2 weeks.
Thank you.
It's very often, and a lot of products come to the market. So the first step, it will be smartphone and feature phone here in Russia. What about tablets?
Okay, so we are starting with feature phone, smartphone, and maybe 1 or 2 tablets. We are revamping our tablet portfolio, and next 3 months you will see a lot of new products coming in tablets. So we will be here with feature phone, with smartphone, with tablets and dongles as well. So anything which...
USB dongles.
Yeah, USB dongles.
And what about, as far as I understand, 1.5 years ago you launched TV business in India.
Yeah.
Is it successful? Because I didn't get any info about that.
Well, TV has been, I do not know how to define success, but are we happy with it? Yes, I think we have made some inroads because it's a very competitive industry.
Yeah.
And we have been able to make a lot of inroads, as far as that market is concerned. Hopefully 2014, and our financial year starts from April. I mean, that year will see, MicroMax making some, I wouldn't say a foray, but some deeper penetration into that market, and a lot of action on that front as well.
You don't launch TV business outside India?
No. I think we should first consolidate because there's huge opportunity there, and then we would like to take it. But currently, it's restricted to India.
Any other fields in which you active right now? I mean, software for smartphones, maybe for tablets?
Yeah. So application area is something which I'm sure since you are tracking MicroMax, you'll get a lot of information about it in next 6 months. You'll see a lot of changes, a lot of stuff coming in. Because today, we'll have to move towards a differentiation. Because as I said, hardware, software, everything is same. Android is Android for everyone. Hardware is, you go to China and you can get it. So a lot of things you will see on the differentiation part.
Thanks a lot.
Pleasure. It's been a pleasure talking to you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.